One day, Jando Masoero was teaching me about the pelvic floor, which is what we call these muscles and fascia at the bottom of the pelvic bowl. You can see there's a hole where the anal canal goes through. If we look at another diagram, we see the anal sphincter muscle shown. He pointed out that you'll find that medical diagrams show this passage and orifice pointing on an angle backwards. Now, if you've followed this channel, you know I think the standard model of good posture is wrong. I object to this bending of the lower back that pushes your abdomen forward out over your feet and causes your ribcage and pelvis to droop down. But that is what is considered right by the standard model of good posture, and because they believe that the pelvis should be angled somewhat backwards, they must believe that the evacuatory end of the digestive system angles back like this. This is how it must be if the back of your pelvis is angled and the front of your pelvis is allowed to go down. When you look at the pelvic floor, though, it seems obvious that if we want gravity to aid us, it would make sense for us to point this hole downward, not backwards. The model of good posture that I support, which is built around lengthening the thoracolumbar fascia here at the back, and really lengthening all of the fascia of the body, necessitates that you lift your rib cage, lengthen your back, and stop spilling out over your feet. Part of doing that involves rotating your pelvis back and up, which results in a pelvic bowl that is upright and a hole that points down. Let's think about the digestive system for a moment. In the standard model, the midsection is shoved forward and the head is pulled back. As a result, the food you eat travels back, then forward, then back again to the stomach, then forward along with the drooping of the abdomen, then back again to enter the rectum, then forward through the rectum, and finally back again on an angle to the exit. Whereas in the model I suggest, the food goes back, then down, then forward through the rectum, and then straight down. Now obviously the digestive system is more complex than this, but when you zoom out and look at the whole thing, this is how the geometry of the bones are affecting and distorting the digestive system. By bending the body, you're bending the systems that are inside the body. One model lines up with gravity, the other is a swirling slide of indigestion. There are a couple of things to take away from this. First, medical diagrams do not show you what is optimal. Most will show you a person who has terrible posture. There are two main reasons for this. One, most people do have terrible posture, so what's shown in the medical diagrams is accurate in the sense that it describes most people. But we should be aware that that is not remotely the same thing as what is optimal. The second reason for these contorted and shortened postures in medical diagrams is that anatomists frequently work with cadavers, dead bodies. They show you the posture of a dead man on a table, and that of course is also not optimal posture. So while medical diagrams will show you what's in your body, they are not showing the parts of the body in the correct relative positions. The people that make these diagrams have not thought things out so that they can show you the best possible posture in their diagrams. That wasn't their intention, so we shouldn't mistakenly believe these diagrams match up with optimal posture. The other thing I want you to take note of is that it's actually a rather difficult thing to say how a part of the body should be oriented. It's not easy to prove that the pelvis should be like this or like this. That's not something you can determine in a straightforward way. You have to really work on the problem. But little clues like what we've looked at today should back up the better model of good posture, and we should find problems in models that are less accurate. The reason we want to rotate the pelvis has nothing really to do with pointing the end of the digestive system downward so it can be aided by gravity. Primarily, we rotate the pelvis back because that's necessary to straighten the spine, lengthen the back, and stretch the thoracolumbar fascia. But because our model based around lengthening the fascia and muscles of the body is correct, when you check on a detail like this, you find that things make sense. Whereas when you look at the standard model in the medical diagrams, it really doesn't make sense.